Florida is cutting HIV and AIDS medication for tens of thousands of people, and they used a shiesty rule to do it. Miami-Dade and Fort Lauderdale, right next to each other, have the highest numbers of people living with HIV and AIDS. 5,000 new people a year, specifically because they cannot afford medication. So what Florida decided to do, let's change the rule. For anyone who's making $60,000 a year, down to $20,000 a year. You can't even pay rent off of $20,000 a year. So unless you're effectively homeless, you're kicked off. And they also canceled health insurance for people who have HIV and AIDS in general. And do you know that this health insurance program that people with HIV and AIDS had was the main reason how the state was able to fund this in the first place, even though they cite a budget situation that was preventable? This rule change by the Florida Department of Health, which went into effect on Sunday at the last minute. The worst part about that was they didn't have a public hearing for this. They didn't go through the normal legal process of paperwork and hearings and whatnot. They just decided it. So the AIDS Healthcare Foundation decided to sue them for not following the legal processes, and the day before that trial was about to go into place, they filed an emergency rule citing no public health crisis, no reason for an emergency. They just did it anyway. And now tens of thousands of people lose access to their AIDS medication, which could be thousands of dollars per month. It was specifically a program to help people who cannot afford it. Without consistent medication, without awareness that you even have the disease, what it does. AIDS, if I'm not sure, maybe you don't know about what HIV and AIDS is. It's an immunodeficiency syndrome, okay? What that does is that it means that your white blood cells are under attack and no longer defend you against infection, who then become susceptible to normal, regular, everyday colds, infections, including but not limited to other things like pneumonia, like cancer, to the most healthiest person. And when that goes unchecked, and when your body can't defend itself, even if the meds are interrupted even briefly, the virus can gain resistancy. And that would lead people to end up in a situation that could lead to literal death. That's why people were dying in the AIDS crisis. Because they didn't have the right medication. The medication wasn't good enough. They didn't have it consistently enough. Because for various reasons, because we live under capitalism, it's a medication thing. Without the medication, we're back in the same situation. We're back in a crisis. In Florida overall, the reason why HIV and AIDS is spreading unchecked amongst black and brown people is because the state does not offer that much money for public health information, sexual health information, for sex ed, and things like that. There's not enough money for free condoms and testing and all this other shit. People don't even fucking know they have it. And now the people that are doing their steps to be undetectable, to live with this virus and live regular lives, are not going to be able to have that. And I'm trying to not be so fucking angry when I give you this story, but too many people have lost their lives for it to be like this. And we need more effort and more attention on this immediately.